Hello, trading is closed on the 30th of August 2023. We always start with our disclaimer, then we'll go over our calls and make some predictions. It's my trading plan for tomorrow, which is August 31st, 2023. Just remember to trade at your own risk, because I can be wrong, and I have less time than usual to follow the market, because for the next few weeks I have a lot of personal business. Expected the pattern with the early high, which is this. Tomorrow should also have the early high. We said this was a very tenuous pattern, that once this line broke, we could have a drop retracing all of this rally, but the line never broke. It was tested many times, and the more time it's tested, the greater the likelihood it'll break at some point, but it hasn't broken yet. We also had a wave count that was compatible with this rally ending. We said it could go higher, but if it were an ending diagonal triangle, it would drop at or pretty much right from the open. Well, we gapped up smartly. The rules say that kills the call before the open. So here's what we said. We said sentiment indicators remain bullish, but if we dropped, could be a whole wave down, but we never got the trigger. We never went under that sloping trend line. Now we had an optional target, 44, 55, 42. We said it failed 5% of the time, and that one failed. So a new optional target from today, 45, 19, 39. It's optional for a different reason. We've come close enough to satisfy the target, so it doesn't really have to print, but we're going to keep this one around, unlike this one, because when it's optional, because it came close enough, it almost always will be seen at some point anyway. We had this big drop early on. MEJT said we'd optionally have a higher target, and we did. And now it says this drop was a false move, should go over that line, and we came close enough so it doesn't have to do it, but doesn't mean it won't. Well, this is a very disconcerting chart for me, because I was thinking this trend line had a good chance to hold. Now, this break over it doesn't mean much if we don't go over today's close by 1 cent. But that's a pretty good break through the trend line. We knew it wouldn't stick, but we didn't know that we print a bar completely over the trend line. And unless that gets reversed quickly, it could go higher still. This resistance usually doesn't get rejected like that, but this one did. Now this trend line still hasn't been rejected, and we still have a count that says at some point we're going to end this wave green B and have a C, but this doesn't tell us where that is. This is the best I can do with counting. What's wave B? You can count 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess that could be 5, but if that's an ascending triangle, and if this is the right count, which we don't know, should probably have one more blip up and then reverse through the whole thing, and that would break this trend line. But as I say, we can't be certain that's the right count, but unless proven otherwise, we'll stick with it. The count calls for wave 5 and then reversal, probably tomorrow. We have to use the mixed signals rules. Tomorrow's pattern has a really high, doesn't mean you won't gap down. It is positive today's normally bearish pattern didn't close near its lows, that there's a higher target, even though it's optional. But it's negative. We gapped up, hit a higher high, but closed under intraday highs. So we have to use the mixed signals rules. Commonest thing is a gap and prompt move outside the range. The preferred wave count says once wave 5 completes, we have a drop, but that count isn't the only valid count. Now, sentiment indicators remain quite bullish. Any pullback here should not stick. Now, sentiment indicators can be pretty finicky. They win in the long run, but even with positive sentiment indicators like this, doesn't mean you can't have a correction first. We have NASDAQ McClellan oscillator and the VIX, the volatility index, have gone through their Bollinger Bands, and once they reverse back into the Bollinger Bands, that gives a sell. But they don't stay outside their bands that long, but they haven't reversed back through them yet. And until they do, that doesn't give a sell. We're just in an area where a sell signal could be given. So it's the pattern with the early high. We have a slightly higher target. We have 45.3504 from earlier in the month. Doesn't have to print now, but if it does, there's resistance over it, at it and over it. And at some point, this is going to break. But this is pretty bullish action, and I think any breakdown, even if it's pretty steep, is going to be a great chance to buy, because the sentiment indicators are telling us there are too many bears. So it's the pattern for tomorrow with the early high, but a decent chance we get a reversal. And that's today's call.